Welcome to the week that was, but we mostly wish it wasn't, for the week ending February 6, 2026. This is a weekly roundup of the highlights and lowlights of campus anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism. This week I had about 35 stories to choose from. If something is happening in your neck of the woods, please be sure to let me know. I'm your host, Andrew Pessin. I'm a professor. Please don't hate me. For more about me and my work, visit andrewpessin.com. For all the details of today's stories and loads more stories, please follow me on X at Andrew Pessin. An announcement: I have launched the Institute for the Critical Study of Anti-Zionism, a scholarly enterprise aiming to document, produce, and promote research, critical research about the origin, evolution, and contemporary manifestations of anti-Zionism. I am seeking interested collaborators, possible sponsors. If you're interested, please get in touch. Our inaugural 6-week webinar series, a free webinar series, launches on February 22nd, just 2 weeks away. Please subscribe to the free Substack in order to stay informed and learn how to register for those lectures. The Substack is at icsa.substack.com. Okay, let's get to the news. It was a busy week for disruptors and interrupters. At the University of Virginia, dissenters, it's an organized group, the dissenters interrupted writer and editor Adam Kirsch, who was giving a talk there on being Jewish in America. How apropos. The University of Virginia has a policy against interrupting invited speakers. We are waiting to hear word of whether the university will in fact enforce its rules. Haverford College, Haviv Redigur gave a talk this week that was disrupted by screaming masked anti-Israel protesters, screaming some pretty violent things. The video is available online. Haverford has since identified and banned one individual not affiliated with the college, according to the school. Sarah Lawrence this week. No friend of Israel, Ezra Klein, gave a talk that was disrupted by mass protesters who screamed at him that he was a Nazi and a genocider, etc. University of Pittsburgh. The trustees meeting this week was disrupted by protesters demanding, of course, divestment from Israel. Harvard University this week. President Trump has demanded this week that Harvard pay $1 billion in the settlement of the anti-Semitism case there. No word on Harvard's response. University of Miami, there was an incident last week where a student went into an anti-Semitic tirade against some pro-Israel students that were tabling there. Turns out she's affiliated with the Turning Point USA chapter there, but Turning Point has disaffiliated her. They fired her from the chapter because of her disgraceful behavior. Westpac, WESPAC, a political action committee, is its IRS filings this week revealed its continued support of anti-Israel groups. It is a significant fiscal sponsor of groups such as National Students for Justice in Palestine. Its most recent filings reveal that it received $2 million more in the most recent filing period compared to the fiscal year before. So it's doing well in drawing the money in, and it channeled $1 million, $1 million to a leading NGO behind campus encampments and other aspects of the anti-Semitic violence, intimidation, and disruptions going on campuses. So keep a close eye on Westpac. Canada, McGill University, the medical schools. Graffiti was discovered in a bathroom there that said, Jews out of McGill Med, kill all Jews. The university did, of course, condemn it. No word on who was responsible. Also at Canada, the University of Victoria, SSI, Students Supporting Israel chapter there, or attempted chapter, was denied ratification for a second time, while every other club that applied and filled out the same forms and paperwork was approved. So this is the second time they have received chapters without any basis other than presumably anti-Semitism. In the lawsuit legal department, also a busy week. Columbia University, Haimani James, the student who came to fame after putting out on the internet a video of himself saying Zionists don't deserve to live, and they're really lucky I'm not just going around murdering Zionists all the time. Well, he's filed a lawsuit against Congressional Representative Virginia Foxx, who headed the committee inquiries against anti-Semitism there, you recall. He is upset with her for tweeting out that Columbia had apparently agreed that he'd be expelled. It's turned out in the last couple of weeks that he was not expelled, merely suspended, and that he's eligible for reinstatement once he's done a considerable amount of self-reflection. New Jersey Institute of Technology, a lawsuit has been filed by anti-Israel students there who are protesting the fact that their proposal to start an SJP chapter, Students for Justice in Palestine chapter, was rejected. One wonders, is there a parallel between rejecting an SJP and an SSI at University of Victoria? I think not. Carnegie Mellon University came into the news this past week or so. There's an anti-Semitism lawsuit proceeding there, which has revealed the tremendous amount of Qatar money and influence on the operation in Carnegie Mellon. They've now been ordered to hand over a batch of documents regarding their relationship with Qatar, their financial relationship with Qatar, etc. It seems to be that Qatar even had power and influence on appointing the DEI administrator, who, of course, was no friend to the Jews. In the BDS, Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions Department, some good news this week. Pride Toronto rejected a BDS motion that had been proposed there. And then the University of Nebraska student government, an interesting case. The student government did pass a BDS resolution on Wednesday of this week, but only after taking out specific mention of Israel and adding in mention of several other countries allegedly violating human rights. So I would take that as a kind of win. The Board of Regents immediately responded by rejecting the BDS proposal. In the K through 12 department, some sobering news this week. A 17-year-old student was arrested at Renaissance Charter School in Jackson Heights in Queens after sending violent anti-Semitic threats to hundreds of classmates. The email sent to more than 300 students said, quote, "At 2 p.m. we will rise up and kill all the Jews in this school and the city. Fuck the Jews." One wonders what they are teaching in that school. Maybe California can answer that question. California has demanded that Oakland schools make major changes after a long series of anti-Semitism complaints there. Basically, the Oakland School District was exposed as a pro-Hamas hate factory after its activities over the past 2 years. They hijacked classrooms to run basically a pro-Hamas indoctrination campaign. Now the California Department of Education has finally admitted there's a serious problem there and will be attempting to make changes. In France, a Parisian Jewish school was vandalized overnight this week. Several windows were smashed, surveillance equipment was damaged, and a plaque belonging to the school was found discarded nearby, a plaque that clearly indicated that it was a Jewish school. Well, that's the news, unfortunately. Tune in next week to see what fresh horrors next week might bring. Again, I'm your host, Andrew Pessin at andrewpessin.com. Please subscribe to the free Substack, ixa.substack.com, and I'm hoping that everyone manages to get